Hi everyone, welcome to First the Coffee Crochet. In today's tutorial we're going to go over how to make a double thick crochet hot pad pattern. Now, this pattern is written in US terms. The finished size is 8 inches wide by 8 inches tall. If you want to change the width, the initial foundation chain can be any number. You just want to add 1 to that number for your turning chain. The initial chains at the start of each row do not count as a stitch. And when you're making these, if you do plan to use them as a hot pad, using with hot pans and around the stove, make sure you're using a 100% cotton or wool yarn. Since this is going to be in contact with very hot surfaces, you don't want something that's going to melt like acrylic would or polyester would. And to make this, you're going to need 140 yards of yarn. The yarn I have used in these models and I'm using in this tutorial is Lily's Sugar and Cream. Another one that would be good would be the Peaches and Cream that you can find at Walmart. You'll also need a 4.5mm crochet hook and a 5mm crochet hook. Stitch markers if you'd like to use them to keep track of your rows, and your needle to weave in your ends, and a pair of scissors. This pattern does use the paired extended single crochet, and it is a combination of the paired single crochet and the extended single crochet stitch. And we're going to go over how to do that in this tutorial. Other stitches used are the single crochet and half double crochet. So when we're making this, we're going to make 2 squares, so you'll go over doing that twice. And those squares will have a border around them. And then we're going to place those 2 squares back to back. And then we're going to make a second border joining those 2 squares. And as always, there is a written version of this pattern available on my website, and I'll leave a link for that down in the description below. And if you like these tutorials, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified as new ones come out. Let's go ahead and get started and make this hot pad. To start out, you want to make your slip knot. And for the foundation chain, we're going to be using the 5mm hook. So we're going to be going through this process 2 times to make a square because we're going to need 2 squares. And for the foundation chain, you're going to want to chain 24. And just make sure to keep these loose as you go, so that way it helps when we're sewing the 2 squares together. Okay, once we have our foundation chain of 24, we're going to switch out our hooks and go down to the 4.5mm. Now on this, we're going to want to work in the back bumps. So when you turn over your chain, you'll see these back bumps here. And the reason we're doing this is to help when we're making our single crochet border around our square. Okay, so we'll be starting in the second bump here. We'll be doing a half double crochet, so you'll just yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Now is where we're going to go into doing the paired extended single crochet. So we're going to start in the chain we just worked, and we're going to insert our hook and yarn over and pull up a loop. That's going to give us 2 loops on our hook. Then we're going to go into the next chain, insert our hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop. And that'll give us 3 loops on the hook. Now continue to pull that same loop through the first loop on your hook, and that'll bring you back to 2 loops on the hook. And then you're going to yarn over again and pull through both of those. And this is what we're going to do all the way across this foundation chain. So we'll go into the previous stitch worked, pull up a loop, go into the next, pull up a loop, continue to go through the first loop on the hook, and then yarn over and go through both loops on your hook. So just continue to do this stitch all the way down, and I'll meet you at the end of row 1 here. And your last stitch of the row is just like all the others. You're going into the previous one and then into that last chain. Okay, so for row 2, and this is going to be the repeat row for this, you're just going to chain 1, turn your work, and in that first stitch we're going to do a half double crochet, and now we're just going to do the paired extended single crochet throughout the rest of the row. And you'll just repeat this all the way up through row 24. So again, you just go into your previous stitch, bring up a loop, into the next stitch, bring up a loop, continue to pull through your first loop, and then yarn over and pull through both loops. You can go ahead and pause the video, and I'll meet you back here at the end of row 24. Okay, so after you have your square made and you're at the end of row 24, don't cut off your yarn or anything, because we're going to be doing a single crochet border around all 4 sides. So when you're at the end of row 24, go ahead, you'll have it finished like this, turn it to its side, you'll chain 1, and we'll be going down this side here. You're going to want to keep track of how many single crochets you do down this side so you can match it when you do the other side. The easiest way I found is to go in, you see the 2 strands of yarn here, just go ahead and go in between those and then to go in this space. And if you do that all the way down, you should end up with around 23 single crochets down each side. And that seems to keep them pretty good evenly spaced. So we'll just chain 1 there, and then we'll start right in between those 2 threads there. And we'll just do 1 single crochet, and then into this space, and then between these 2 threads, and we'll just continue to do this all the way down the side till we get to the end. And at the end, we're going to do 3 single crochets in the corner. So go ahead and pause the video, and I'll meet you back here at the corner. Okay, so as we are approaching the corner here, go into this last space, and then we'll go between these 2 here for 1 single crochet. And then we're going to count this first stitch of this edge as our corner. So we'll be doing 3 single crochets in that. Right. And then on this side, we're going to go all the way down and just do 1 single crochet in each stitch down the side. And I'll meet you back here again at the next corner and show you what I do with the tail that's at that corner. Okay, when we're at the end of this side and we have this initial working tail that we started out with, what I do is, since we're going to have to do 3 single crochets into this stitch here, and that first stitch is always a little tricky, get your hook in there. So we'll do 1, and then I just crochet on around it, 2 and 3, and I just keep crocheting down this next side. Again, make sure that your single crochets down this side match the ones that you did on this side. So I had 23 on the other side, and I'll make sure I have 23 on this side. And I'll be starting in the space, then between these 2 threads here, the space between the 2 threads. And I'll just keep this tail up against here and just secure that by single crocheting over it. So you'll continue to single crochet down this side, do 3 more single crochets in the next corner, then single crochet in each stitch across the top side, and you'll do 3 single crochets in the last corner, and I'll meet you back here once you've completed the last 3 single crochets in the last corner. And when you're at the last stitch at the top, that's going to be your last corner, so we're going to go ahead and put 3 single crochets into that corner. And then we're just going to join to the first stitch using a slip stitch. Okay, so after you've finished one square, go back to the beginning at the start of the foundation chain, and you're going to make a second one of these. So at the end of the first one, go ahead and cut this off, but when you finish your second one, leave this tail connected to your yarn. And I'll meet you back here once you have the second square finished. After you finish your second one, leave this connected again, don't cut it. we're going to take both of these. We're going to lay this first one face down. If you look at your single crochet border, you'll see that these stitches, the tops of them are kind of facing this way, and you don't really see them on this side. So have this facing out as the right side for that side. And then we're going to take our second square and we're going to place that. Now you want to make sure that your rows are going the same way. Don't do this. That's not going to be right. So we'll line these up. So with your crochet hook, where you have the corner here, there's 1, 2, and 3 in the corner. We're going to put our crochet hook into this middle one. And now on this one, so go ahead and take your loop that was on your second square that you left connected and pull that through. And this way you can easily connect your yarn. Just pull it tight like that. So now we're going to chain 1. And you'll want to have this to where these stitches are almost perfectly lined up. So we'll be starting in this first stitch here. Just go ahead and single crochet. Find the first stitch on this side. And we're just going to do a single crochet. And you'll just do this all the way along. In each stitch, do 1 single crochet. When you get to the middle corner stitch, you're going to do 3 single crochets in that stitch. So I'll meet you back here at the first corner to show you how to do that one. Okay, so as we get to the first corner here, that'll be the first stitch in the 3. Now we're at the middle stitch of the previous 3, so this is the one we're going to do 3 single crochets in. Okay, now we'll just go down this side as we did previously, and at the corner we're going to do the same thing. So just for the rest of this, we'll go around each side and then in the corner do 3 single crochets. Okay, so when we're at the end, we're back into the last corner, so we're going to do 3 single crochets into that corner. It's going to be a little tight and hard to do. Right, and then we're going to slip stitch to that first stitch that we did to join. Now here is an optional part. You can either fasten off and weave in the ends as is, or you can add a little handle to hang this with. If you wanted to add a handle, go ahead and chain 10. And then we're just going to loop that back around down here. Bring your yarn behind your chain there. And we're going to go into this stitch right before our chain came off of here. And go ahead and slip stitch to join that. Then to make this nice and secure, go ahead and chain 1. And then we'll start and do 15 single crochets around this. When you get to 7, go ahead and push it back so it's just to the halfway point of the chain. And then after the 15th single crochet, just go ahead and slip stitch into that original stitch that chain came out of. And you can fasten off and weave in your ends then. And enjoy your new hot pad.